Did you know that St. Luke's University Health Network, based in the Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania, has been recognized by the U.S. government as the highest performing health system in the United States for quality? You heard right. St. Luke's #1 recognition affirms our status as the top leader among the most respected healthcare providers in the nation, including Houston Methodist and the Mayo Clinic. To state it simply, if you want to receive the best care when you go to a hospital, come to St. Luke's.
Katz and Cosby, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Everybody talking about President Trump's visit to China, and who better than Gordon Chang to give his perspective. The great Asia expert. His Twitter is Gordon G. Chang, everybody. Gordon, what did you think of the visit, and where do you think it goes from here?
Well, this visit was not canned. You know, most U.S.-China summits are, they're just, everything beforehand has been settled. This one, not. And give a lot of credit to President Trump for rolling the dice in a foreign place. So that's great. But we're going to find out what happened in the weeks and months to come, because it's going to take some time for the United States and China to hammer out the agreements that President Trump has talked about. One thing we do know, Rita, was that Xi Jinping was very dismissive of the United States. On Thursday, in front of the cameras and in front of the President Trump, he referred to the Thucydides trap. And that is a reference to a declining hegemon dangerously confronting a rising power. And also, Xi Jinping talked about the new era, quote unquote. That's Xi Jinping speak for basically a time when China rules the world and the U.S. is no longer on the scene. So President Trump showed great restraint. He didn't respond. But at some point, Xi Jinping, who has become very arrogant, I think we're going to have to respond not only in substance, but also rhetorically.
Oh, very interesting.
Wow. Yeah. You know, you're able to catch all those little nuances, sentences. Ed Cox, you know, his family, was the Nixon family. What do you think, Ed, of Gordon Chang's?
He's right on. That is the Thucydides trap, which was developed by a professor at Harvard. And he is citing it because he feels he's a rising power.
And we're the declining.
And we're declining power. Exactly. Right. And that was Athens and Sparta.
And some of that was like a power trip, clearly by Xi to kind of,
it was a attempt to scare us off.
And Trump did not respond to it, which was appropriate.
Yeah. So do you agree also, Gordon, to Ed's point? I mean, Trump responded, very clearly. And obviously, it doesn't sound like gave any inch on Taiwan, because the statement that the Chinese put right after that was a kind of aggressive on Taiwan. In other words, they didn't get anything on Taiwan. It's a new sheriff in town with Donald Trump.
Yeah, President Trump handled that well on Air Force One. And I believe that the administration will go forward with the $14 billion arms package to Taiwan, which is what is in question right now. Xi Jinping was extremely belligerent, and I think he's bluffing because his military right now is in no condition to invade the main island of Taiwan. So now's a good time to go forward with the arms sales, because the Chinese can't really do very much. They can huff and puff and they can get angry, but that's about it. We need to enhance deterrence. And the other thing we need to do is to show our friends and partners in the region that we're strong, because if we do that, they will stay with us.
Now, Gordon, I have a question on Iran, because they came out, this essence was they don't want nukes. They want the Strait open. China does. And they also said that they would no longer supply military weapons to Iran. So is that like I'll sell you the Brooklyn Bridge? I mean, can we trust that?
Yeah, this is the second time Xi Jinping has directly told President Trump that China would not sell weapons to Iran. But they have after the first promise. We'll see after this promise what Beijing does. I'm sure they want the Strait of Hormuz open because they're not getting their oil. They get about 45 to 50% of their seaborne imports of oil through the Strait, and they're not getting them right now. But, when it comes to nuclear weapons, we got to remember that Iran has a nuclear weapons program because of China. China has been transferring equipment, materials, and technology to Iran for a bomb program, both directly and indirectly through Pakistan. And President Trump needs to call this out because almost every day the Chinese Foreign Ministry and the propaganda organs, they blame the United States for the war. Well, there's a war because China gave the fixings for a bomb to the mullahs.
No, that's a very interesting point. Judge Weinberg.
Gordon, good to talk to you again. I'll tell you what troubles me. If Trump delays on that sale to Taiwan, the military equipment, then it's a sign of weakness on our side. That sends a message to that whole area, to the Philippines, to South Vietnam, to Australia, and that's a danger. We need to show strength, not that we're trying to accommodate them. Your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more, Judge. What we have are a lot of nervous allies. They always get nervous whenever the United States talks to China. So right now we need to show them that we will stand resolute because it's not only Taiwan, it's them as well. And, for Taiwan, the most important thing is that it does prevent the Chinese Navy and Air Force from surging into the Pacific. We do not want the People's Liberation Army off the coast of Hawaii or off the coast of California. So this is important for us as well. We've got a lot of nervous allies, as I mentioned, especially Japan.
Governor Patterson.
So, Gordon, why do you think that the president chose, well, he really made a good decision when he chose not to answer that little comment.
The nuance.
Yeah, the nuance, which, they wrote up for him to make him sound like he's intelligent. But the reality is that I kind of thought that the president would be a little stronger in this whole scene than he was.
Well, I would like to have heard the president reply, but I can understand what Trump is doing. Trump has Trump style, and we're going to see how it all works out in the wash. I think it will work out well because we have far more leverage over China than China has over us. We have a lot of elites in New York and Washington who, they're just deranged over Trump, and whatever happens, they will always put everything he does in the worst possible light. I think that, I didn't want to see this trip go forward, but let's see what happens afterwards. And remember, we've got Xi Jinping coming to Washington. That puts a deadline on a lot of the things that Trump has promised. So
that's right. September, right, Gordon? September 24. Right. So, yeah, right. That puts a deadline. That's a fascinating point.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Fair enough, says the
now,
governor.
The question, I have the last question for Gordon. Is China going to cooperate with Trump with everything they talked about and shook hands about, or are they going to try to screw up a November election?
Oh, I think they'll try to screw up the November election because we know that they were very active in 2020 supporting Biden over Sanders in the Democratic Party and then supporting Biden over Trump.
Biden thanked them. Biden gave them Afghanistan. And $85 billion of equipment.
And Bagram base.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the 2024 election, thank God, the Chinese were not so active in the national election. They were very active, though, at state and local elections. And so we've got to get them out of our elections full stop. And I think in the midterms, they're going to work very hard to prevent Republicans from getting elected. So,
but I think the jig is up, Gordon. I think the Republicans know what's going on, and they're out there to do something. And let's wait and see because the jig is up. There's foreign money flowing in, and they're going to do what they have to do. And I understand it, but I really appreciate your opinion because the American people have to hear your opinion too.
Thank you, Gordon.
Well, thank you, Gordon.
Let him finish. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Gordon.
You want to say one more thing?
Just a quick thing. In 2020, we know that China sent a lot of money into the Democratic Party campaign through ActBlue, that website. They did it through foreign parties, which is, of course, all of this is illegal. And there were small amounts of money, so nobody ever followed up. But you can trace the money from offshore. And I think the United States needs to do that because we got to get the Chinese from stop funding candidates in our elections.
So,
Gordon, like I said before, somebody has to go to jail. And until people start going to jail and prison, that we're not going to have an honest Washington. But thank you, Gordon Chang, for coming on, and let's keep fighting for America.
Yeah, Gordon, you got to come back on soon. To be continued. That's a hot topic.
Okay.
77 WABC and Bergen Newbridge Medical Center honor the life of legendary broadcaster and our friend, Ernie Anastas.
Hi, it's Ernie Anastas. You know, your thoughts can affect how you feel. Bergen Newbridge Medical Center is the largest hospital in New Jersey, providing comprehensive, equitable, compassionate, and high-quality emergency inpatient and outpatient medical care, plus mental health services and substance use disorder treatment. The Bergen Newbridge team can address your total health needs in one convenient location. Call 201-225-7130 for an appointment or newbridgehealth.org.